We've all been there. You are happily solving some puzzles on Chess.com, feeling good, rattling off some forced checkmates and snappy tactics, and then, boom, you get that dreaded red X. What? How could your solution not be right? Surely it was totally winning for you. And what bullshit solution is that? Oh, that's why. That makes sense. In this video, we are presenting the hardest puzzles on Chess.com. We asked our data team to find us the top puzzles with the lowest pass rate and a puzzle rating over at least 3,000 on the site. With well over 750,000 puzzles on Chess.com, we have a lot of tricky puzzles to choose from. Here are 3 of our favorite infuriating chess puzzles. Be sure also to check out the article in the pinned comment, which has the top 10 hardest puzzles on the entire site. Our first puzzle is my absolute favorite, and it is also the puzzle with the lowest pass rate on Chess.com. So there's a good contention that this is the hardest puzzle on the entire site. A great one to show friends.
I don't have friends.
With a puzzle rating of 3372, the pass rate is only 1.38%. What's particularly funny about this puzzle is that it's not actually that hard. White plays rook f1 check, and black must block with queen f2. You snap off the queen, and then you've already made an incorrect move. How could the natural capture of the queen possibly be wrong? Well, in fact, after you take the queen, black is still doing okay on material. And while black's pieces look discombobulated, there is no way to take advantage. A long struggle is ahead, and black is by no means lost according to the chess engine. But if taking the queen is wrong, what other choice is there? The winning move is the super easy to miss, especially if you aren't looking for it, retreating move, queen to e1. Now, black still loses the queen, but on white's terms. After the capture on f1, white recaptures, and on the next move, this pawn on f7 falls with check, and black's position totally collapses. This next problem is objectively much more difficult. White has a plethora of candidate moves, and many seem crushing. Only ingenious defense by black fends off several tries. For example, rook h3 intending pawn h6, bishop takes h6 would be crushing except for the defense pawn to f4 by black when the queen defends the h7 pawn. Additionally, many more subtle attempts such as bishop f4 intending rook h3 on the next move are best defended by bishop e8 and bishop to g6, a resource that is quite hard to spot. It may partially be process of elimination that leads white to bishop h6. This spectacular empty square sacrifice is in part a clearance sacrifice for the queen. Now it can win the game by entering with queen to e7 in many lines. Capture of this bishop loses quickly to queen e7, rook g8, queen f6 check, rook g7, and then rook g3, when the rook on g7 is pinned and there is an unavoidable mate coming when white's queen captures that pinned rook. The puzzle defense, bishop e8 intending bishop to g6, forces white to crash through. Oh yeah! With queen e7, rook g8, and the forcing bishop takes g7 check, a much more violent bishop sacrifice than we began with. Now rook takes g7, queen takes e8 check, then picks up the pawn on e6 on the next turn. More pawns are falling and black's king remains exposed. The computer assesses a fatalistic +6 advantage to white at the conclusion of this precise continuation. It is no surprise that this one has a puzzle rating of 3463 and a pass rate of just 1.76%. Our final problem in this video, and reminder, check out the article in the pinned comment for the full list of the 10 hardest problems on Chess.com, is a doozy. There is simply no way to solve this one, which has a puzzle rating of 3341 and a pass rate of just 1.85%, without being on your game for multiple complex decisions in a row. First, black needs to play rook to c7. The idea of rook to c2 and a mating attack on the second rank isn't too hard to find, but it is slow, and that allows white some fantastic defensive tries. White plays g5. Brilliance is possible not just in attack, but in defense as well. A surprising point is that the key for white in multiple lines is that this queen on g1 that's buried behind the rook on e3 may leap all the way across the board to a7. For instance, black cannot ignore the pawn on g5 and play rook c2 because of the capture on f6, rook f3 check, and then queen a7 check, and white is forcing checkmate. Black needs to capture on g5. The right capture is h takes g5. Now, after the strong attempt rook h3, it's still not possible to invade with rook c2 because of the pesky queen a7 check. Instead, black switches things up with queen c2 check and then rook d7. Now black threatens rook d1 check and invasion with rook d2. White is desperate and resourceful and plays h6 check. Now here's where I went wrong solving this one myself. I took on g6. This wins the queen, which is where I stopped calculating. But after h7 rook d1 check, yes, we've won the queen, but there is no way to make progress with that extra queen. The h-pawn is always threatening to promote, so black has to give perpetual check. Instead, the king must step back from the h-pawn's check, and the only right way to do so is king h8. Now, white's pawn checks come to naught. Black's king keeps the pawns blockaded, and rook d1 finally does win the queen and the game after the g-pawn also starts marching up the board.
I'm doing my part too.
Well, that was pretty brutal. I don't know if you enjoyed those puzzles exactly, but hopefully you felt something, even if it was just a tingling sense of rage.
I am just green with jealous rage right now.
At least it reminds you that you're alive. If you would like to see some more empowering puzzles, check out our collection of puzzles that humans can solve and computers can't.